they sat at the feet of the ancient Egyptians. They said they learned everything they knew from the ancient Egyptians. But somehow, archaeology has rewritten the narrative.
From mastercraft ships preserved for thousands of years to shocking new mummy discoveries, these ancient Egypt secrets will blow your mind. Up first is the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone was one of the single most important archaeological discoveries ever made in human history, and the single most important discovery when it comes to the ancient Egyptian world. The Rosetta Stone is an obelisk inscribed with a royal decree from King Ptolemy V. The decree was for all citizens of Egypt, and given Egypt was an expansive empire with numerous different dialects and languages, it was written in 3 different scripts. The top has Egyptian hieroglyphics, while the middle has the slightly later Demotic script, which is also an Egyptian language but with letters instead of glyphs. Finally, the base is written in Old Greek. Each script was written in almost the exact same way, meaning the text was the first discovered that allowed modern knowledge of ancient Greek to lead to actual translations of both Demotic and hieroglyphic. Without this discovery, we would have no idea how to read thousands of other documents and texts, and it's allowed scientists and researchers to actually translate the discovered writings on sarcophagi, tombs, papyrus, and much more. It's difficult to imagine just how different our knowledge of ancient Egypt and Greece would be without our knowledge of the Rosetta Stone. Next is the Khufu ship. The Khufu ship was discovered in the grave of Pharaoh Khufu and is the oldest known ship ever discovered. Not only is it incredibly old and filled with unfathomably valuable grave goods, the Khufu ship is also in incredibly good condition. It's a style called a solar barge, allegedly the very ship design which the sun god Ra sails, and it's in such insanely good condition that this 5,000-year-old ship could be dropped in a river or lake today and would sail as well as it did 5,000 years ago. It's so well preserved, even the rope survived the sands of time, and numerous traditional ancient Egyptian rope tying techniques were gleaned from the boat. It's considered a masterwork of woodcraft and shipbuilding, and elevates our opinion of the engineering ability of the ancient Egyptians greatly. It was made of Lebanese cedar, the same as the tree on the current Lebanese flag. Next is the Unknown Queen. In 2022, archaeologists working near Saqqara quite literally rewrote history when they discovered a brand new tomb while excavating King Tut's tomb. Saqqara is a massive necropolis, a city of the deceased, where hundreds of thousands of remains and burials were conducted. They uncovered 300 more coffins and over 100 more mummies, but even greater, they discovered a brand new Egyptian queen, literally never before heard of in the historical record, Queen Neith. Neith was undoubtedly powerful and respected judging by her ornate casket and the tomb she was placed in, but to discover an Egyptian queen entirely unrecorded in the historical record is a truly fantastic and mind-blowing discovery, and opens up numerous doors for more Egyptologists and researchers to investigate. The tomb was also likely built in the New Kingdom period, which is over 3,000 years ago and is considered highly unique for an area better known for Old Kingdom period tombs. The tomb also includes a mummy with a solid gold face mask, gaming pieces for the game's Senate, a huge limestone sarcophagus, and a soldier buried with his bronze axe. Next is the Gizan Chamber. In March of 2023, a truly incredible discovery was made that flipped the archaeological community on its head. The Great Pyramid of Giza, which has been standing for thousands of years and studied for hundreds, still somehow has new discoveries to reveal to us. Using advanced ultrasound techniques and infrared thermography, a new team of researchers were able to locate and identify a mysterious hidden chamber. Now, no one's been inside, only identified it through scientific means, and we really don't know what the chamber is meant to be for. Some have said it's some sort of ritual room, perhaps a place for sacrifices or curses, or maybe it's a storage closet for the workers who built the pyramid that was bricked up when they were done. Researchers are fairly certain that the room takes significant weight off of the entryway and may be a sort of internal structural arch, designed to reduce weight and spread out the strain so the entrance doesn't collapse. It's believed these techniques were perfected on previous pyramids, but we still have no idea what what this enclosed and hidden chamber could possibly be for. Knowing the ancient Egyptians, it's almost impossible that it holds no spiritual, religious, or cultural meaning whatsoever, and yet there does not seem to be any way inside. Maybe it's a waiting room for the spirits of the dead. Next is the Golden Tongue. At the Taposiris Magna Temple, researchers made a fascinating discovery, finding several poorly preserved mummies with a shocking item: a golden tongue placed inside the skull. The ancient Egyptians believed a golden tongue was required to be able to speak to Osiris in the afterlife, but it was long considered a myth by many that they would actually place gold tongues into the mummies' mouths. This is no gold leaf either, but a solid gold tongue left inside of the mummies. There were numerous other artifacts and quite a bit of gold as well, but the mummies were in a shockingly poor state. They were very badly preserved and almost entirely broken down, something which is very unusual given that the Egyptians had mastered the art of mummification several decades before this tomb was filled with the deceased. It may be possible that the family didn't have the money to pay for the full embalming, but could spare enough for the gold for the tongue. However, it does still leave a mystery. These people were obviously well loved and well off given the amount of things they had to accompany them, so maybe they just had a bad embalmer. Next are mysterious mummies. Egypt is revered in the scientific community for two big things: cool new dinosaur species, and a whole crapload of mummies. The Saqqara necropolis is one of the largest necropolises on Earth and has been the home of several tens of thousands of mummies, both human and otherwise. Recently, however, Saqqara was the site of another mummy discovery, this time of several mummified cats, snakes, and crocodiles. That's not all though. There were also mummified birds and even a mummified beetle, about 4 times larger than it should have been. Maybe someone saw a massive beetle and thought, wow, this is incredible, we should really preserve this for the future generations, and hopefully everybody around them said, you're weird, dude. There were also 75 bronze cat statues, really not dodging the weird accusations. Cats were deeply important to the ancient Egyptians, not only because they dealt with pests and prevented disease, but also because they were seen as almost godlike, and as a proud personal servant of a cat, I can totally see where they're coming from. Several dozen mummified house cats were discovered alongside 5 mummified big cats, at least one of which is a lion. It's likely these were offerings or idols of some sort, allowing the living to closer connect to the realm of the gods and the dead. And finally is the Falcon Shrine. The port of Berenike was a critical one for the ancient Egyptians, and so continues to be searched and excavated in search of strange and wondrous things. And boy oh boy is this strange, at least. Archaeologists discovered a shrine filled with some of the most unusual items ever discovered. First and most shocking were the 15 headless falcons. Why were the falcons headless? Why were there so many? We don't know, but that's not all. The falcons were arrayed on a dais before a stone pedestal holding 3 stone statues of gods. One was the child god Harpocrates, another has a falcon head but has not been quite identified, and the last has also not been identified but has cow horns and a solar disc. It's believed the falcons were offerings to the gods alongside some other remains that suggest sacrifice and feasting took place in this small temple. There was an iron harpoon also laid out alongside the falcons, but the final piece may be the most unusual. A large stela that reads, in ancient Greek, "It is improper to boil a head here." So at least we know the falcon heads weren't boiled, but we know very, very little else about this religious group. The temple dates from after the 4th century AD, meaning Christianity was already the dominant religion in the Roman Empire, and yet this small cult or temple continued to survive, showing that the ancient Egyptians did not just trade over to Christianity, but that the old gods survived for longer in worship than we initially believed.